Jen with Mother Time. Welcome back to my channel and welcome here if you are new. I hope you're having a great week and you are staying cool. It is a hot one out there, so it is a good time to stay indoors and do a little crafting. A couple weeks ago, I shared in my hallway this barn quilt that I painted, and I got so many questions and emails on how I made this. Well, I used a stencil from a cutting machine to make this, but I'm going to show you today how to make your very own barn quilt using some painter's tape. So you don't need any kind of fancy equipment. You can make this just with some wood, some painter's tape, and of course some paint of choice. The best thing is about making it yourself, you can customize the colors, which is so much fun. Now this one is made to also be used outdoors. Since it is a barn quilt, you want to hang this maybe outdoors. I'm going to be making one using some frame unfinished wood from Hobby Lobby. You may have seen this before if you've been in their unfinished wood section. So this one I'm actually going to be using indoors or on my covered front porch. If you want to make one to hang outside, you'll definitely want to go to the hardware store and get some wood that you can use outdoors, and then also seal it at the end too, like this one right here. So we are going to be doing an Ohio barn quilt, and again we're going to be using some painter's tape to tape off the edges, and it's going to turn out spectacular. Now I'm going to be using some fall colors, so it's never too soon to get started for fall. I'm just jumping into the fall colors, but you can do whatever you want because I just made this one with the everyday colors. I figure I'm going to make one for fall as well. So, but you do you, whatever colors work for you and work for your decor. Have fun with it. So anyways, I'm going to bring the camera down and show you how to make and paint an Ohio barn quilt. This is the board that I'm using from Hobby Lobby in their unfinished wood section. I'm using this one because I intend on using this indoors or on a covered porch. If you want to make your barn quilt to use outside, I suggest going to the hardware store and finding something that you can use outside. So this is the front of it. This is a 24 by 24, but of course you can adjust the size depending on how big the space is that you are using. You're also going to need some painter's tape. This is the brand of painter tape I'm using, but you know, use what you like the best. You're also going to need a ruler and a pencil to draw your lines. We are doing an Ohio barn quilt. This is a great beginner's barn quilt that you can do with just taping off sections. I have the perfect ruler for this space and I cannot find it anywhere. I will probably find it as soon as I'm done filming this. So you're just going to need a straight edge or any kind of ruler, measuring tape, so you have some straight edges to draw your lines. Then we'll be painting, taping off the sections and then begin painting. So first I want to find the center of my board. Again, this is a 24 by 24, so it's pretty easy to figure out. I want to find the 12. Make sure it's the same on this side as well, and then find 12 going down, making sure we're pretty straight too. And now I'll double check my measurements. I like to erase the old one so I don't get confused on which one's which. So we'll double check. Still the 12, and there is still the 12. So here is the center of my board. I just like to know my starting point, my center, so when I'm building this nothing gets, you know, crooked. So that is my center. We'll do one more. I always like to check, and then check again. There we go. And there we go. Perfect. So I have the center of my board just for the purpose of knowing where the center is. So when I make my lines and I take a look, especially with using the painter's tape, you want to make sure that, you know, it doesn't get shifted. And working with an even number like the 24 just makes it really easy to know where that center is. So I like to make that, to know that that's that. So next I'm going to begin by drawing my vertical lines. Then I'm going to go horizontal. Being that this is 24 by 24, it makes it pretty easy to mathematically figure out. So I'm going to go 8 and then 16. Same thing going down. So then I'll have my initial lines drawn. And the good thing about using a pencil is after you draw your lines, if you realize that there is something off, you can always erase and go back. I have my horizontal and vertical lines drawn, so now I'm going to spin my board back around so I'm back up top. You can even, if you want to, help you out, just make a little T and a B so you know where you're at. You know, I just feel for where the hooks are, but to help you out, of course, it'll get painted at one point, so you could use a little piece of painter's tape just so you always have a guide of where your top is, especially as you start drawing more lines. For the diagonal lines, I'm just going to be drawing X's in these 4 squares here. So I'm going to go by and just go point to point. And draw my diagonal lines. And then I want to connect that line here to here. So making sure everything is straight. So point to point. And then you'll bring it down to the next box. And just like that, you now have your template ready to go to start painting your Ohio Barn Quilt. Now, if you don't want to tape it, you do you, but I suggest taping it if you want to. You have a very steady hand, by all means do it, but you know, the painter's tape is worth it, and I like to do it in sections just to do, but I also like to do it beforehand, kind of know my placement of what paint I'm painting where. Makes it a lot easier too, plus then you kind of get an idea, making sure you like the color placement of where the color is too. So I'm going to also take just a few minutes and do that. Now, like I mentioned before, I'm doing fall colors. Now, I also like doing it, I forgot to mention too, this way, because then you're not wasting paint. If you paint the whole board the background color, you're going to be painting over majority of that with other color. So to also preserve on paint, doing it this way too, then you're just blocking off and painting your sections too. So I'm going to be using folk art paint because, again, this is going indoors. If you do intend on doing this outside, I suggest maybe finding a better paint that can be made for outdoors, or of course sealing it at the end will help that as well. By all means, then you could use the folk art too, but I just like this. And one of my favorite fall colors, if you've been following me for a while, for fall is Folk Art and the color Cinnamon. It is just such a beautiful rusty orange color. It's my favorite orange for fall. Again, I've used it for years. So I want that to be really like the star of the show. I also have an inspo picture. I was walking around Hobby Lobby and I saw this wreath and I took a picture. If I still have it, I'll post a little picture of it. That was actually my inspo too. I loved the colors of that wreath. I saw it and I was like, that is just so pretty and fall-y. So then I took a picture of that, went to the paint section. Of course, I had to grab Cinnamon. So that is one of the colors I'm also going to be using, I think, once I get it down. This is Linen, also Folk Art. And then I think I'm going to either do this Rusted Pipe, or if I don't want to do the Rusted Pipe and I want to add a little pop of gray, I do have either Mushroom, or I also have another color that I love to use too, is the Folk Art Barnwood. So I haven't quite decided. I'm kind of leaning towards the Linen, but I love Barnwood too. That's also another one of my favorite colors for from Folk Art that I use on a lot of different projects. I do have some browns too. I have coffee latte. I have a few browns too, but I suggest either doing a 2 or 3 colors. So these, I'm going to go 3 colors, and I think those are the 3 that I'm going to do. Definitely know I'm doing these 2. We'll see on the 3rd one. So first, what I want to do is put my background color, kind of so I know then, this makes it really easy to know then what color is going to go in what box. So let me grab a paintbrush, and I'm going to start first just adding a little paint into each block so I know what color is going to be going into what. Then I'll start taping off the sections to paint. So the first color I'm going to be using is, again, Cinnamon. So I'm going to just add a little bit, and I'm going to add the paint in the sections just so I can know what's going where, and I can get an idea of how I like it. So I'm doing the 4 big blocks right here are going to be that. And like I said, by doing it this way, you're also preserving on the paint too, because then you're just doing, but then this also, you know, okay, this is the wrong block to be doing the different colors in. So I have my colors of my background is going to be the Cinnamon. I think I got all of them here. All right, so I'm going to do, I decided for my blocks here and the center block, let's see how the Linen looks. So that was my first thought. So the Linen would be going here, 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 and then this would also be your color here too. So that's the Linen. And then the 3rd color, I was torn between Barnwood or Mushroom. So you can see here, this one's Mushroom, and then this one's Barnwood, and I'm thinking the Mushroom. So you can see this is the Mushroom, and this is the Rusted Pipe. I mean, you could go either way. Let's see how Rusted Pipe looks. I'm afraid that that might just be too similar in color to the Cinnamon. Now I'm adding a little bit of the Mushroom on, and I think that's just going to give enough contrast between the two. Yeah, that's going to be a better choice. I love the Rusted Pipe, but it's just very similar in color to the Cinnamon, and you want a little bit of contrast, you know, for it to really, really pop. So that, I think I have every little, you want to make sure every little block has their appropriate color so you know which one is going where. So we have Cinnamon, linen, and mushroom are the three colors that I'm going to be doing for this board. So now I'm going to start taping off sections. So I'm going to work on the cinnamon first and then kind of work my way in, or you could go the other way. You could work your way out, whatever you feel more comfortable with. I'm just going to start taping off the sections and going with the base color, which is going to be the cinnamon. So of course this part is the least amount of fun. You want to make sure that you are covering just right on the line. And work with as much tape as you feel comfortable with. You want to make sure you're really pressing down on that seam to prevent any bleed. And don't forget your edges too, if you're working with a similar, or you're going to get paint on that. And just like that, I have my board taped off. I ended up taping around the entire edge just so that was done. And then my 4 corner boxes, so I can start with those. And again, that's going to be the cinnamon. So again, now is just a lot of painting and drying, adding several coats. Once I know these are good and dry and I've added several coats and I like the way it's covered, then I'll remove the tape and then continue to work in sections. So I'm going to start by painting these 4 sections in folk art in the color cinnamon. And you also, when you tape too, you want to make sure, like I mentioned before, your seams are down. So really press those good and make sure you have no air bubbles to prevent any bleed. So going around and pressing those down really, really well to prevent any of it going in. And then I just like to kind of start at my edges so I get a nice clean edge. And the first coat never looks good. Just trust the process. Get your first coat on there. Let it dry before you add a second and third coat until you get the coverage you want. Okay, the first coat is dry. Now onto a second coat, and then just keep going until you get the coverage you want. Okay, coat number 2 is done, and I'm going to add a third and final coat, and then I'll move on to the next block. Next, I'm going to remove the tape because I need to still paint these boxes. Now, these still have to be painted cinnamon, but I have to remove the tape anyways because I'm going to go on the other side to protect what I've just painted. So I'm just going to remove it and then retape on the other side anyways. So here goes the first reveal. And you see how you get that nice crisp line? You can always fix anything, but that's nice and crisp. That's perfect. And then do the same over here. First box done. When I tape again, I'm taping on the opposite side to protect what I've painted to paint these other ones. So same thing. And then it's a great little teaser to kind of see how it's coming along. Just fix that up a little bit. It pulled a little bit right there, no big deal. Just a couple little spots where the paint came out. This was probably not completely dry yet. So I'm just gonna fix that a little bit. So I fixed those little spots up, no big deal. And now I am going to finish painting the rest of the cinnamon triangles. So I'm just going to tape that off. I really don't even have to worry about too much in this corner, but better to be safe than sorry. And just add some tape there. Make sure it's on there really good. So I'm going to get this all taped off and then start painting the rest of the cinnamon. And remember, when you're taping, you want to go on the line or just a little above it so you can see the line, just so you get that proper coverage. Make sure you press it down so you don't get any bleed, especially right on that seam where you're going to be painting. So I got those 4 little sections, and let me get painting on those. Okay, that is all dry. So now I'm going to remove the tape. Same thing as before. I have a few little spots that the paint peeled up, no big deal. I'm just gonna get those all touched up now. And then we'll move on to the next color. And if you prefer, you could just do all your touch-ups at the end, but I kind of like to fix it while it's right there. And then it's done, but you could just do all your touch-ups at the end if you want. And you're going to have this happen even if you use a stencil that you made with a cutting machine. The paint's going to peel up a little bit here and there, and that's fine. That's why it's called touch-up. So when I made mine with the stencil that was made with a cutout from a cutting machine, I had the same thing happen. So you just go through and fix it up, and then you move on. So easy as that. And I'll let this dry and then just add another little coat on. How amazing does this look? Now you can really see it take shape. And if you wanted to keep it really simple, you could even just do it with the background and then a white. And then, you know, erase that if you didn't do the little colors like that. If you already knew you wanted to just do a solid color, if you wanted to do a 2, you could have the one and then the other. I mean, there's so many ways that you can customize this based on the colors that you want to do and the season you're doing it for. But now you can really see it take shape by doing the background first and taking that time. Now it's kind of like you're seeing your effort pay off. So next I'm going to work my way in and do the linen, which will be these triangles as well as the center. So I'm going to tape it off and continue to work in my sections. And I'm starting with the center first, just to give this a really good solid time to dry. Figure if I just don't put too much tape on there and just give this time to dry. So the color I'm using for the center is Folk Art in the color Linen. So I've added 3 coats to this and it's dry, so let's remove the tape from here and see how it looks. And we're just going to peel that. Got those nice crisp lines. Perfect. No touch-ups on this one needed. So now I'm going to continue on and just taping off sections, filling it in, and then moving on. And before you know it, this will be all done. The next section is done and dry, so let's peel the tape to see how this looks, and then we have 1 section to go. All the tape has been removed and this is how it looks. It's really coming along. It is almost done. So I just have a few little touch-ups that I have to do. No big deal. So I'm going to touch those up now. That's why I like to put my brushes in a baggie when I'm not using them, so I can easily touch up those spots that I have here, and then we'll move on to the final layer. So now I am on to the third and final color, which would be the mushroom, but I just want to see what barnwood looks really quick. Now that I have most of it painted, I'm just going to see which one I like more, the mushroom, but something's telling me to try barnwood, so let's just see how that looks. So I gotta be honest with you, I actually like the original white background the most. I just like the way it pops. So I'm kind of mad at myself that I painted the little samples, or I would have been done. So if you want to replicate this and you like the white too, learn from me to not paint those triangles. But we'll see how it looks painted. Maybe it'll look better. I tried a few different ones. This one's still a little too creamy. I'm going to try my white Adirondack by Folk Art. This is their chalk paint, and see how that looks. This one on top of it is Raw Silk. That is a fusion paint. But let's see, I kind of really like that crisp white, especially with this frame. So let's take a look. I'm going to try to do it without taping it. Well, I might tape it here in a second, but I'm going to see how it looks without paint, or with yeah, I just like that bright white. That looks nice. The gray was just too dark and matched with the frame. I just like that white. So I'm going to just work in some sections and just tape it off one section at a time, add the paint. So I'm going to add a little bit here. And because I just have 4 triangles to do, I'm literally going to do one at a time, and then it's done, instead of doing it this way. I can tape faster because I'm not worried about being precise. I'll tape 2 at a time. I'll do 2 and 2 with this, and then I don't have to worry about getting into the other one. I can just quickly tape it off, paint the 2, and move on. So I'm going in with white Adirondack, and I'm just going to add a few coats. I just think that crisp white color is going to look really, really nice. So I added 3 coats to each, and let's take off the tape and see how it looks. I love the white. I love the way it pops. So I'm going to go ahead, take this section off, and then add a few coats of the paint there, and this will be done. Okay, guys, it is finally done, and I love the way it turned out. I am so happy that I decided to go with the white. Isn't it beautiful? I think the darker color just wasn't working out as well as that white, how that pops. I absolutely love it. So I'm glad I went with my gut and changed it up a little bit. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It's so fun to make too, and what a great idea to make these for gifties, to make these for Christmas gifts or wedding gift or birthday gift. It is so much fun. Now again, if you want to make it for outdoors, I suggest getting some wood, some plywood from the hardware store, and using that for this. If you intend to do this for inside or covered porch, then you could get away with doing this. You definitely want to seal it too, just to have that protection, whether it's going outside or just to protect it inside from getting little nicks and things too, or if you need to wash it off, you have that sealant on there too. You can do a spray sealant or a paint sealant, you know, whatever you have on hand will work too, but if you're going to do it outside, you definitely want that too for the UV protection, as well as the elements and all of the things too. But I am just so happy with the way this turned out, and I love the way the cinnamon color, my favorite paint color to use on all of my fall crafting, goes with this frame too. It is so pretty, and my future self, come August, or depending on when you're watching this, will be so happy that I already have this project done. So it is never too early, never too soon to start doing your fall and Christmas crafts. A lot of people do to get a head start, so you have those so you can enjoy the season and you have them done. So especially on a project like this, you may want to take your time and, you know, one day just draw it out, one day just do a little bit, you know, just a little bit at a time, have it on your table and just kind of slowly work at it. This took about, because I did it from start to finish all in one day, definitely took about a good 5-6 hours. So it definitely takes a lot of time to, you know, but some of it is drying time and things like that too. But I just love the way this turned out. And like, I'm making a Christmas one too. This I was thinking about for my covered front porch, but I love it so much I might want to use it inside too and switch it out in my entryway. But this is just so much fun to make. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to help. If you make one too, I would love to see, make sure you snap a picture and tag me or email it to me, because I would love to see them too. You can tag me on Facebook or Instagram at Mother Time so I can see how yours turned out too, if this inspired you to make one as well. I would love to see, absolutely. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Mother Time. You can check out my blog, mothertime.com. And if you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you click the subscribe button below so you never miss a video. Okay, you guys, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it inspired you to make one too. Let me know in the comments below. Again, give this video a big thumbs up if it did. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye, guys.